All right, so welcome to Agree to Disagree Zoom call episode. What 4 is this?
I believe so.
Yep.
So it's been a bit difficult the past couple of weeks to have anything to talk about sports related, but we decided a good topic to cover for this week would be we each compiled a list of our 10 most underrated players going into the 2020 NFL season. We're going to compare them with each other. We're going to debate. Maybe some of us will agree, some of us will disagree. I am pretty sure you guys are not going to agree fully with my lists. I know that much.
Yeah,
And
likewise.
then we're going to hit some winners and losers. And
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Do we want to focus specifically on the signings in this list, or do we want to do more just on the players in general?
I didn't
Players in
specify.
general.
Okay, because I
general
was
works.
thinking more about like signings. I didn't do it specifically with play. Okay, but that works. Okay,
We'll keep that in mind when we hear yours.
okay.
So, Noah, you want to go first?
Yeah, so for me, my definite most underrated signing of the offseason was Cory Littleton to the Raiders. Absolutely love him. He's had a great last couple years with the Rams. Now he goes to Oakland, or not in Oakland, Las Vegas. I didn't even remember that for a second. And he'll get to play linebacker for the Raiders. He joins a good defensive team, but not one that's great yet. I think they're going to get better. They're still young. They don't have Khalil Mack anymore, but they have some young talent. Max Crosby, they drafted in the 4th round last year. Clelin Ferrell in the 1st round. So I like what they have, and he'll be really good. My second most underrated signing was Kwiatkowski, another linebacker to the Raiders. I really like him as well from Chicago. And number 3, I know people are probably not going to like this too much, but in the circumstances of trading DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals, I liked replacing him with Randall Cobb. I know they don't play the same position, but I think you had to at least get somebody who is a veteran, knows how to play in this league, and can build something with Deshaun Watson rather quickly. So I think Randall Cobb will do that. Those are my top 3 right there. Go ahead, Jack.
All right, my underrated players are not just based off signings, just in general, who I think are going to be some of them. Not saying in any order. I'm going to go with 2 quarterbacks, and you guys could disagree with me. I could see that. The first, my most underrated player is Ben Roethlisberger.
Ooh.
Coming off of a big injury. What was it? He had to get Tommy John surgery, correct? Right?
I think
It wasn't Tommy John, but it was something in his
similar.
elbow or in his throwing elbow, right elbow.
It was some problem he had with his elbow, and even before he got hurt last year, in the two and a half games he played, I didn't think he looked that great. So I think this year, and also last year, a lot of people said the one problem with that Steelers team was they lacked the quarterback. He's going to be back. He's got to prove he can still do it. Another underrated player, and I just say this, not based off his talent, just based off of the past years, I'm also going to go, is Matt Stafford.
I got that. I have him on my list too.
Yeah, the last 2 seasons he has been unable to stay healthy, and this year if he's not able to stay healthy and show that the Lions are at least close to making the playoffs, I could see them moving on from him. This year he's fighting for the stay in Detroit.
And, you make an interesting point, Jack. You talk about how Stafford's underrated, and you're right, he is underrated. You look at the Lions roster, they have so many problems, whether it's their defense, offensive line. They've had some issues with how many weapons they give Stafford. Stafford's literally the least of their problems, and he's fighting for his job this year. It makes no sense to me. That guy should have as secure of a quarterback job as almost anybody, because he's the one thing that team actually has going for it right now that's good.
Detroit is wasting Matt Stafford's talent completely.
Yes.
Matt Stafford is top 5 in the league right now based off of pure stats. I mean,
probably, yeah.
He's up there legitimately with Breeze, Brady, Manning. He's up there in terms of stats. He's with yards, with touchdowns, with completions. He's a very, very good player. But, the Lions aren't putting a team around him.
Even before Kerryon Johnson, the Lions didn't have a good run game. It was Stafford doing it himself, just carrying the offense. I also feel like coaching is a big problem of that team too. Example, Matt Patricia.
But also,
and egos too, Dean.
Oh, definitely.
And he's shown what he could do, like way back when, like say 2014, when he had Calvin Johnson, Marvin Jones, and Golden Tate as his 3 receivers. they dominated. They were one game away from having a first-round bye if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers. But
Here, in Stafford's best season,
I believe it was
he
2014.
threw. Let's see right here. His career high in touchdowns is 32 touchdowns. He did that in 2015. But every year he had 41 touchdowns another year, but in 2011. So every year he's 20s or 30s in touchdowns, and he doesn't throw too many interceptions. It's not like he's done anything wrong.
Dude, 2011 is his best.
He's also one of
Right.
8 players to throw for 5,000 yards in a season.
Yes. I don't know if it was 8, but yes, he did throw for 5,000 yards in that 2011 year with
And
41 touchdowns. Jeez.
And he didn't
Matt
make the Pro Bowl.
Stafford.
That's just wrong.
Matt Stafford is currently 18th all time in terms of career passing yards. He's in terms of active players, he's behind Breeze, Brady, Rivers, Manning, Roethlisberger, Ryan, and Rodgers. So not too many people are in front of him.
Yeah.
And Jack, he's only one Pro Bowl, right? That's crazy.
And last year, he was having a before he got hurt. I mean, the record didn't show, but his stats before he got injured last year, 64.3% completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. I believe that was I think he went down in week 9.
And they didn't win another game after he got hurt because they were 3-4-1. It looks like with him, and then after that they didn't win another game. I don't think they only won 3 games.
They almost won at Thanksgiving with Blau.
Yeah, that would have been a big upset.
But yeah. All right, Dean, give us some highlights from you.
I was gonna say Noah's with underrated signings. I'm gonna go with Eric Ebron to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
Eric Ebron to Pittsburgh, I think, is a great signing. Other than having Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm not gonna even try pronouncing it. I can't speak today. Juju. Thank you, Jack. Juju, and then you'll have James Conner and Big Ben coming back off his injury, like Jack stated. I think Eric Ebron takes a lot off of Juju. I think also Eric Ebron is a perfect fit for this offense. And Big Ben loves his tight ends. I think Eric Ebron's going to get a lot of passes towards his way. The Steelers' defense is ruthless. I think the Steelers are an interesting team to watch, and I think Eric Ebron's going to work out perfectly for them. And what? He gets $5 million a year, $6 million a year? Or something like that?
It wasn't too much.
Which is very good value, a very good signing, a steal for Pittsburgh, a complete steal. Next one I'm going to go is Cory Littleton to the Raiders. I love that one. That one is a very, very that's going to help the defense more. Granted, Las Vegas still has a lot of holes on the team. I still think the Raiders have work to do. They do have the draft coming up with 2 or 3 first-round picks. But I think Cory Littleton is a good, I wouldn't say building block, but a good piece to add to the defense.
He's a Pro Bowler, too.
And that, too, he's got a lot of talent. He's a very underrated player himself, too.
Well, you think about the team he was on and with the Rams. I mean, he was probably like their 5th or 6th best defensive player, at least most notable defensive player. And all of a sudden, now he goes to the Raiders and he's like top 3.
Well, that Rams defense was loaded. Look at even that Super Bowl team. He had the pick in the Super Bowl. That Rams team was loaded, and now he's going to go to a Raider team that's not as talented as the Rams defense and help him. And next underrated signing, oh man, Jack, you're going to love this one actually. Pierre Desir to the Jets. I think Pierre Desir is a very underrated. I think Pierre Desir is a very underrated player himself too. I think he helps the Jets. The Jets needed help in the secondary. I think he could help with who's your number 1 cornerback?
Him.
Now
it's him, but
Rules in the slot, but one thing I do like with the Jets, I liked him a lot last year. Bless Austin. He's the guy I'm looking to have a massive jump for the Jets this year at corner. He should be a great number 2 corner.
And I'm gonna go with Pierre Desir. Pierre Desir is a good signing for the Jets, and I think he's going to help that secondary. He's going to add to that defense. The Jets got a good defense. Just the team's got to stay healthy.
Last year, Jets finished they were a top 10 defense. Now
they were top 5, top 10.
And they didn't even have C.J. Mosley the whole season.
They're going to get C.J. Mosley added back into that, and they're going to have better corners on the outside because it can't get much worse than Jermaine Johnson and Darrell Roberts. So
yeah, but they also do have to worry about beating the Bills, who might be one of the best teams in the AFC this season.
I didn't say they're going to win. I just said their defense is going to be
Thank
better.
you, Aidan.
They're not a
I
playoff.
think the defense. The Jets defense is going to be better. The Jets defense, when healthy, could be top 5.
Yeah, no,
They were top 10 without being healthy.
You've always
with
heard me that.
CJ Mosley being hurt.
I love the Jets defense. I just
It's
don't
the
trust
offense
our head
that's the
coach.
problem.
I don't trust our head coach, and our offense has question marks all over the place.
But
Dan
Jack, they
Darnold needs an offensive line.
still didn't sign that pass rusher that they needed to, because I've been saying Marcus Golden. I know Clowney's still out there. He's probably too expensive, and I don't know if
He's asking for a lot right now.
Yeah, but a guy like Marcus Golden had double-digit sacks with the Giants last year. Like, what is the holdup? Why are you not reaching out to him? I know you signed Jordan Jenkins back, but Jordan Jenkins isn't a difference maker. He's a nice player, but a guy like Golden, he could be your number 1 pass rusher potentially next season. And even if you sign him just for a 1 or 2 year deal, not a lot of money, there's a low risk in it, and he could be a guy with a lot of upside there. So I really would like him to come. I just don't think they have enough yet in terms of getting to the quarterback and also at corner. But in terms of the rush defense and in terms of your linebackers, they're definitely a solid group.
The Jets need help on offense. Offensive line, coaching needs a cleanup. Definitely receivers. I think the Jets could use a backup running back. I think the Jets could use another running back.
Jets also still need a kicker. They have Brett Maher as kicker right now.
Yeah.
Still need a backup quarterback. I'd like them to try and get Joe Flacco. I think that'd be a really good backup.
That'd be good to add some
They did
veteran
sign
presence.
Fales, though, right?
Yeah, but he can't be the backup. Not the second string.
Well, I don't know. They did sign him back. I don't know.
I think Flacco, because also he could be a good mentor. Last year he lacked that Josh McCown, Sam Darnold, like that presence, which I think helped them a lot.
And you couldn't see them trying to do something weird with their cap situation to make a run at one of the big names, right? I couldn't either.
Not this year. He said this year. Joe Douglas said in his conference call that this year is not like the right year to go after big guys. Like next year, like if he wanted to save money and maybe if he doesn't take a tackle, I believe next year Packers Bakhtiari is a free agent, and so is Corey Linsley, Kenny Clark, and Aaron Jones. So they're gonna have to make some choices. So potentially Bakhtiari could be let go.
Right.
Maybe I could see him giving a big contract on that. Like that's a guy I could see Douglas pouring out the bank for.
Aidan, I think it's your turn, buddy.
It is my turn. So yeah, you guys have been talking about the Jets. I do actually have a Jets player on my most underrated players.
I know who it is.
It's pretty obvious. It's got to be Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard. It's weird to think of Le'Veon Bell as someone who might be underrated. Like 2 seasons ago, if you told me that he would be on my list for like most underrated players in the NFL, I would have called you an idiot. But today it makes sense. The Jets simply didn't utilize him last year at all.
Correctly.
No.
They didn't utilize him in the run game. They didn't utilize him in the pass game. And they need to do that this season. I believe that Adam Gase is not so dumb as to repeat that mistake. But
you can't trust
then
Gase.
again,
I know.
it's pretty – I have been known to overestimate or underestimate the stupidity of Adam Gase before. Either way, I think Le'Veon Bell, if he gets put in a system that works for him, could definitely jump back to his spot as a top 5 running back in the league. Another player I have up there, who I have as the second most underrated player, is another running back, also in the AFC East, Sony Michele. I think that Sony Michele is probably the best running back on the Patriots roster right now. And he was used pretty well his first season, his rookie season, but last season, for whatever reason, the Patriots just didn't play him. And in the games where he was being used, you could see him run. He's a speedy guy. He can evade tackles. He's like an Alvin Kamara. He's a Christian McCaffrey. He can get out of those tackles. He's really good. But again, same as with the Jets and Le'Veon, he just hasn't been utilized to his full potential. But number one, and yeah, this might be a little bit controversial because it's hard to call him underrated. But T.Y. Hilton.
I was thinking him.
Because
I was thinking Adam Thielen.
I don't think I've ever heard T.Y. Hilton come up in a conversation for a top 5 wide receiver in the league, or even top 10 wide receivers in the league. even when I make my arguments, I always omit him. And he led the league in receiving yards a couple seasons ago. He's not a bad player. He played well with Jacoby Brissett in the past or last season and 3 seasons ago. And he played incredibly with Andrew Luck. Of course, he was going to be better with Luck.
Yeah.
But to omit someone like him from a conversation of the best receivers in the league right now, he is so fast. He can beat anybody. And as long as he stays healthy, he is the life of that Colts offense.
Yes.
I want to throw out a claim there.
Excited. I am so excited for the Rivers to Hilton connection.
I do think he's one of the more underrated players in the league, but you have to acknowledge the fact he only had 500 receiving yards last year in 10 games. So 50 yards a game for a guy who's supposed to be a number one. And by the way, a guy who really didn't have a lot of receiving help last year. So you'd expect him to even if he's getting double teamed and stuff, get a lot of targets and rack up yards, even if it's not maybe the most efficient way possible. But he really didn't do much at all last year. He did play 10 games. I know he missed 6, but he only had 500 yards or so. So
he missed a lot of games, but also Jacoby Brissett looked pretty horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that.
That's not the guy.
I don't think Phillip Rivers is better than Jacoby Brissett right now.
I don't necessarily know if he is, but Brissett looked worse than he did or worse than he did 2 seasons ago.
Okay.
Or
yeah.
what? Sorry, 3 seasons ago.
Yeah.
The season when Luck was out. And that's saying something because they were towards the bottom of the league that season.
Yeah. I'm going to jump off that point to go to another underrated player. He was on the Colts last year, but he missed the whole season. I believe he's now on the Green Bay Packers. Another underrated player, Devin Funchess.
How did you know that, Jack? I was going to say the same thing.
I don't know. Hey, great minds think alike. Devin Funchess, when he was on Carolina, I remember that one, the Cam Newton's last full season. I said that guy is very talented and he could be a good number 1. I could see him being a great number 2. He signed with the Colts. When that happened, I love that signing. I thought he was a big play guy that could go deep. He can run deep routes for Andrew Luck and he'd be perfect to play alongside opposite T.Y. Hilton. That didn't work out, obviously, but now he's going to the Green Bay Packers. He's going to be opposite Devontae Adams. I think that could be the number 2 receiver that Aaron Rodgers has needed ever since probably, 2015 that they've lacked. That could be big.
Yeah, since prime Jordy Nelson, basically.
Yeah, well, Cobb was always a second when prime Jordy Nelson.
Okay. But no, I agree with that. I was going to mention him as well. And like you said, he's the second guy that Rodgers needs. Now, it's interesting because they have a lot of these young players that some of whom have shown promise, some of whom haven't really shown promise, but they do have them and they're improving. They're still young. So all of a sudden, if you look at the Packers receivers, you say, well, they have obviously Devontae. They just signed Funchess. They have Scantling, who has had some moments. Allen Lazard definitely had some moments last year. So all of a sudden, you got 4 guys, and you can rely on them all. They don't have Geronimo Allison anymore. But
oh no,
it's a lot better of a group than we were looking at just a few months ago.
They don't have a tight end, right?
What did you say?
Who's their tight end right now?
They drafted somebody in the 3rd round last year that I'm blanking on the name right now. But they had Graham, and that didn't work out at all. So really, anybody that they can get is going to be better than what Graham's given them the last couple of years.
Yeah, I agree.
I like Anthony Harris. Anthony Harris on the Vikings is very underrated.
Yeah, I like that.
6 interceptions.
Oh,
I think he tied for most interceptions.
Oh,
I think the Packers.
they do.
Mercedes Lewis.
Yeah, they do still have.
Oh, right, there you go.
But he's not a playmaker.
He's a blocking tight end.
He's a good tight end. He's serviceable, but he's not a playmaker.
He's got to be 35 years old now, right?
Yeah, he's old. He's up there.
He's pretty old. And then their backup is Robert Tonyan.
Oh, Tonyan. Right, he had a couple touchdowns last year. I remember him. Yep. Yeah, but they did draft somebody in the 3rd round last year that I don't remember.
Jay Sternberger.
Jay Sternberger.
Yeah, there you go.
From Texas A&M.
That is a great name.
I love that.
Jay Sternberger. Actually, speaking of tight ends, I have another tight end. This one might be more tough to call him an underrated player, but Darren Waller from the Raiders. he had a pretty big breakout season last year. The Raiders went from maybe one of the most dangerous offenses to one of the least dangerous as soon as Antonio Brown got traded or got cut.
Never played there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, he didn't play, but he was that was going to make their offense scary. And Darren Waller stepped up pretty big, helped keep the Raiders in the playoff race for much, much longer than they should have been. He put up 1,100 yards last season, pretty good for a tight end. And I don't know what the Raiders' plans are going to be for this season, but I figure if they utilize him the same way they did last year, he could pull into one of the top tight ends, or he could turn into one of the top tight ends in the league. Especially with the tight end position is getting revolutionized right now by some great pass catchers. So,
where do you guys see the Raiders next year?
When John Gruden first came in and made some of the moves that he made, I was convinced that they were just gonna tank and it was gonna be horrible. And somehow they managed to not be absolutely terrible the past 2 seasons. So with the 7-team expanded playoffs, I could see them fighting for that 7th seed. The 3rd wild card seed. I don't think they're going to win the division. What?
No, there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way they take down the defending champs. But I can see them getting up there, getting into 2nd place in the division, especially now that, Phillip Rivers is gone from the Chargers and he was really the last. I feel like the Chargers aren't going to try without him now.
But also,
Jameis.
What?
Maybe.
They should get Jameis. They just should. They should.
But they won't.
Or Cam, one of the two.
They want Tyrod.
Do you see a 7-9 team making the playoffs?
Yes.
And I have a conference.
This year, no.
This season, yes. I think an AFC team will make the playoffs at 7-9.
That gives me hope.
It will not be the Jets. If the Jets go 7,
let me just tell you something. I'd rather be bad than get absolutely smoked by Kansas City or Baltimore in the first round. That does nothing for you. And be 7-9.
I just want to be back in the playoffs. I don't care if we get our asses kicked. Going off to my next point, I had another underrated player.
Really?
Sticking in when we're talking about Oakland, I'm going to switch to the Broncos. Drew Lock, I think, is going to be very underrated this year. He's going to have the starting job for them. I liked what he showed last year in the short amount of time he played. I think he's going to have a very surprising season.
Me too. I agree. He's going to have a surprising season. Who do the Broncos have for receivers right now?
Sutton's really good.
Sutton is really good, but
they also. Well, I think they should trade Royce Freeman for something, but also in the backfield they have 2 pass catching guys, Lindsey and Melvin Gordon now.
Do you think they go for? Do you think they go for a receiver in the draft?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, Henry Ruggs.
Oh, you see him taking a 1st-round receiver, Dean?
I think the Broncos go in the 1st round of receiver, and I think they go Henry Ruggs.
Okay.
I think Henry Ruggs would be I still do mock drafts. I had in the beginning in January Henry Ruggs going to Broncos. I still think he does. I think it's the perfect fit in the Broncos offense. You have Sutton at the 1, Ruggs at the 2. You'll have Noah Fant. You'll have Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay. You have a young and promising quarterback at Drew Lock. You have a great defense. That Broncos team is a team to watch. And I think getting Henry Ruggs would be perfect for the Broncos.
Yeah.
That would be a fit. I like the idea, Dean. But I was thinking about this the other day, and I sort of can feel it as a Jets fan. I kind of relate to this because there are so many great receivers in this draft that obviously they're not all going to get taken in the 1st round or even the 2nd round, or a lot of them are going to have to wait, and maybe 1st or 2nd round talents that are going to have to wait till the 2nd or 3rd day to get picked. And I just wonder if some teams know that since there's so many good receivers in this draft, they're going to be hesitant on taking them early because they think they can get a steal on a guy who's going to end up being a star in a later round. And I feel like that's going to happen for a lot of teams, like the Jets. Like just for as an example, they may see Jerry Jeudy as a future superstar, but they may see Laviska Shenault as also a future superstar and then take him in round
Definitely.
2. You know, I just feel like there's going to be some hesitancy by some of these GMs to take receivers in the first round based on just the sheer volume of how many good ones that there will be.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. At least for this class and for hesitant GMs, this is a deep class at wide receiver. You have Shenault, Higgins, Jalen Reagor, Denzel Mims, Brandon Ayuk, Tyler Johnson, Chase Claypool. The list goes on. Oh, Chase Claypool is a big name. And I still think those guys are going to go in the first round. Henry Ruggs, I still think he goes to the Broncos. But then you have teams like, what do the Jets do? Do they go receiver, tackle? What do the Niners do? Do they go defensive tackle because they traded DeForest Buckner, or do they go receiver? Now, for a team like the Niners, a receiver would be perfect, but defensive tackles in this class aren't that deep. And, if you're the Niners, it's like, yeah, if you get Jeudy, that's beautiful. That would be great for their offense. But when are you going to get another good defensive tackle possibly?
And you can always get a receiver later with the amount that there are.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So we are running out of time here on our Zoom meeting. So we're going to quickly – it sucks that we only have 40 minutes to do these, but we're going to do quickly our winners and losers of the week. It's been a week since we last did this, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Perfect. Our winners and losers of the week. Anybody want to go first?
Jack, go ahead. I'm picking you.
Mine's pretty simple. I'll probably just pretty much say the NFL. I think is probably the NFL, and the NFL fans are the biggest winner after the conference call with the president. It looks like the NFL is going to start on time, and we're not going to have that won't be delayed. So that's a good sign. I don't need any more sports being pushed back. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, for my loser, I just want to shove it in Kevin Durant's face as much as I can after he spurned the Knicks over the summer and was with Golden State for all those years. So I'm going to do that right now. And number 1 seed in this 2K tournament, and he got smoked by, unfortunately, the wrong dunk champion, but the right champion in this game, Derrick Jones Jr. And thankfully, Derrick Jones beat him and is the 16th seed, moved on. I don't really care too much about 2K. I'm not a big video game guy, but when I heard that, I did definitely give a smile.
That's nice to hear. I did the other winner. My winner for this week is NCAA D1 Spring Athletes. This might have been 2 weeks ago. No, this was definitely after the last time we met. But the NCAA ruled that spring sport athletes in Division I would be able to get another year of eligibility. It sucks that basketball players can't get it. Any other winter sport athletes can't get it because they played out their season. They just missed the championships. But it's great for, track, for baseball, for softball, for a lot of sports that we're going to play over the spring that missed their entire season. I feel terrible for those athletes, and it's great to see that they'll be able to get another shot if they want to.
My loser of the week, and this is as a whole, the UFC. Because, first of all, John Jones, running into trouble again. He gets arrested with a DWI and having a firearm in his car in New Mexico. It's unclear if John Jones is going to get stripped of his title. And also the UFC right now, because Khabib, I don't know if you guys heard of this, Khabib is pulling out of UFC 249 because he's being quarantined right now in Dagestan, which is in Russia. So the UFC right now is scrambling for not only where to relocate their card, but also who's going to fight in the card. However, it just popped up on my phone that the UFC is planning to unveil their fight card tomorrow for UFC 249.
Indeed. I also heard that there was a problem with the plane or something where he couldn't get a flight over here.
So the thing is, Dana White tried to talk to Putin or someone from Russia to get Khabib a private jet to fly to America to fight. But the thing is, Putin, it was like, no, the whole country's on lockdown. And Khabib was like, I'm quarantined in Dagestan. I'm not going anywhere. So it's a mix of, one, not letting him out, but it's also Khabib not wanting to go out, which I understand. It's
That's
risky right
understandable.
now.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna say of all these commissioners that have been involved in this in this whole thing, Dana White's been the worst one. He's been way too aggressive about trying to make these things happen, and it's just not gonna happen.
Dana White, fun fact, Dana White's a Trump supporter, but I'm not gonna even try to get political. Dana White and one of the boxing commissioners ripped him the other day for why are you continuing these cards? We canceled our fights. Why are you continuing ours? Khabib said the other day, NFL closed, NHL closed, Olympics closed. Why is the UFC keep on going during this?
I think
And I agree with them.
UFC and I think WWE, they're the only things still going.
Because
it really makes no sense to me. Like, why did we have WrestleMania today and yesterday? Like, I don't get it.
And isn't there like no fans there? It's just an empty arena. I feel like that's so weird.
Because the UFC and WWE are all about money, but they're smart because they know that for UFC 249, for Dana White specifically,
We have less than a minute.
You got to finish this up.
Pay-per-view buys are going to go off the roof for the UFC. That's how they're going to make their money now, especially with people staying in their house locked down. So the UFC is smart with this money thing, but I just think they're doing this completely wrong right now, and I don't think the UFC knows what they're doing at all.
All right, everybody watching, thanks for watching. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and stay tuned for more videos like this. We'll see you guys soon.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Peace.